Professor Marcus Webb had been teaching xenobiology at the Galactic Interspecies Academy for exactly 3 weeks when he realized his curriculum was fundamentally broken. His students, brilliant minds from 17 different species, couldn't identify a predator if it was standing in front of them.
"It's an herbivore,"
chirped Lixin, a Phylorian whose species had evolved on a garden world where the most dangerous creature was a particularly aggressive pollinator. She pointed at the holographic display showing a creature from Zen-era Prime. Marcus looked at the six-eyed, razor-clawed beast with retractable fangs and felt his teaching methodology crumble.
"That's a pack hunter responsible for 60% of prey deaths in its ecosystem. But it has such pretty fur,"
Lixin protested. The other students nodded in agreement. None of them had ever seen a real predator. Their worlds were gentle places where evolution had favored cooperation over competition, where intelligence emerged from social complexity rather than survival pressure. Earth was the only registered death world with species intelligent enough for galactic admission, and Marcus was beginning to understand why.
"Field trip,"
Marcus announced.
"We're going to Earth."
The permission forms alone took 2 weeks. The liability waivers were thicker than most species' entire legal codes. The Galactic Safety Committee sent 3 representatives to talk Marcus out of what they called
pedagogical insanity.
He smiled politely and reminded them that experiential learning was in the Academy's charter. They landed in the Serengeti during migration season.
"Stay close to me,"
Marcus instructed his 12 students as they stepped off the shuttle.
"And remember, we're observers. We don't interfere with natural behavior."
Kratok, a Theranian with 4 arms and a naturally armored carapace, looked around nervously.
"Professor Webb, I'm reading multiple large life forms in the vicinity. Shouldn't we establish a defensive perimeter?" "We're fine,"
Marcus said, leading them through the tall grass.
"Just keep your voices down and watch where you step."
They crested a hill, and Marcus gestured for silence. Below them, a pride of lions lounged in the afternoon sun. The students gasped collectively.
"Observe,"
Marcus said quietly.
"What do you see?" "They're magnificent,"
whispered Sayare, a crystalline Vex whose homeworld had no animal life at all.
"So powerful and graceful." "Good. Now watch the one on the left. The big female."
The lioness had noticed something the students hadn't, a herd of zebras grazing 300 meters away. She rose slowly, her body language changing from relaxed to focused. 2 other females joined her, positioning themselves with practiced coordination.
"She's hunting,"
Lixin breathed, finally understanding. What happened next was a master class in predatory behavior. The lions moved with calculated precision, using terrain and wind direction, communicating through subtle signals. The chase lasted 43 seconds and ended with the kind of efficiency that made several students look away.
"That,"
Marcus said,
"is what a predator looks like. Not pretty. Not cruel. Just alive, doing what evolution designed them to do."
Over the following hours, he showed them more. A leopard's ambush tactics. A cheetah's impossible sprint. Wild dogs hunting in coordinated packs with strategies that would impress military commanders. Each example carefully chosen, each demonstration building on the last. But the real lesson came that evening. They sat around a campfire, another human tradition his students found fascinating and terrifying in equal measure, when Kratok asked the question Marcus had been waiting for.
"Professor, if Earth has so many predators, how did humans survive? You don't have armor like me, or natural weapons, or even particularly good senses."
Marcus smiled.
"We became better predators than everything else."
He stood and walked to the edge of their camp's light.
"Humans aren't the strongest or fastest. We're not the most heavily armed. But we're persistent. We can track prey for days. We can coordinate in groups of hundreds. We can plan, adapt, and use tools in ways no other predator can match.
He pointed to the darkness beyond their fire.
Somewhere out there, lions are sleeping off their kill. In 12 hours, they'll be hungry again. Humans? We learned to preserve food, to plan for seasons, to hunt not just for today but for tomorrow. We didn't just survive among predators. We outcompeted them.
Sayara's crystalline structure flickered with bioluminescence, a sign of deep thought in her species.
But you also protect them now. The wildlife preserves, the conservation efforts we studied. Because we won,
Marcus said simply.
We became so good at survival that we could afford mercy. That's what being an apex predator means. Not that you can kill everything else, but that you can choose not to.
The next day, they tracked a rhino on foot. Marcus taught them to read spoor, to understand wind patterns, to move quietly through vegetation. When they finally observed the massive animal from 30 meters away, every student understood something they'd never grasped from holos and lectures. This was what life meant on a death world. Every day was a calculation of risk and reward. Every species was armed with some advantage: speed, strength, venom, camouflage, intelligence. Survival wasn't guaranteed. It was earned. On the shuttle back to the academy, Lixin approached Marcus with her data pad.
Professor, I've been analyzing Earth's predator-to-prey ratios and comparing them to 14 other biospheres. The statistical variance is extraordinary. And?
Marcus prompted.
And I think I finally understand why humans are the way they are. You didn't just evolve alongside predators. You evolved to be the predator that other predators feared.
Marcus thought about his ancestors, persistent hunters who ran prey to exhaustion across African plains. He thought about humans spreading across every continent, adapting to every environment, turning disadvantages into advantages through sheer stubborn innovation.
We're not special, he said. We're just survivors who got lucky enough to develop big brains before something else ate us. The rest is just practice.
But as he watched his students pore over their field notes, with newfound understanding, Marcus knew he'd taught them something no hologram could convey. They'd looked into the eyes of Earth's predators and survived. More importantly, they'd understood. The galaxy was full of garden worlds that bred gentle souls. But it only took one death world to breed survivors. And now, 12 students from gentle worlds carried that knowledge with them, the understanding that intelligence was just another survival adaptation, and mercy was a luxury earned through strength. Professor Webb filed his report that night. Next semester's enrollment had already tripled. Apparently, word had spread. The human professor didn't just teach about predators. He taught like one.